Sector 2814 by Jonathan D. Mabee. Sector 2814, Season 1, Episode, Pilot. Teaser. Exterior deep space, the outer cosmos. Superimposed Sector 1111, Galaxy Z8 GND 5296. Superimpose the Lucinda Nebula. The vast infinity of space stretches beyond the event horizon, and the deafening silence of its depths seems to only enhance its unending beauty. The purple, blue, orange, and yellow lights blink in a universal mathematical rhythm that only the eldest of beings could hope to decipher. One of the yellow lights flickers on the far left and begins to move with purpose. The yellow ring is engulfed in a saffron aura of pulsating power, the pattern of a circular lantern etched into its signet. The smooth, gilded band completes the circle in a rather symmetrical fashion. As the yellow ring streams through the nebula, a green orb flickers into existence ahead of it, a bright green trail emerging as it hurls itself toward the yellow ring. The green ring is bathed in a crackling emerald energy, the pattern of a squared lantern carved into its oval signet, which sits upon a wide jade band. The rings are on an unstoppable collision course as they fly towards each other at incalculable speeds. When they finally meet, a small tink can be heard. Bwomp! A massive wave of energy cascades from the contact, yet the rings phase through one another as if not quite in the same dimension, the slightest hint of the other's color being absorbed into the center of each ring's lantern. Continuing to fly as if they hadn't registered the encounter, they both speed along on their journeys unhindered. End of teaser. Act 1. Exterior downtown Dearborn, Michigan, United States, night. A deafening engine roar is quickly drowned out by police sirens as a minivan swerves around a stopped car at an intersection. Simon Baz, 27, Palestinian-American, lets out a swear under his breath. He unconsciously scratches the Arabic word tattooed on his right inner forearm and cranes his neck to look at the passenger side mirror. The 5 cop cars are right on him. He yells into the cell phone now held to his ear with his shoulder as he frantically darts the minivan around another stopped car.
Nah, screw that, man. You said a quick in and out. There's 5 damn cops on my ass.
Taking his eyes off the road, the van dips hard over the road's median.
Son of a...
He regains control of the van, but is cut off by the voice on the other line. After a moment.
Nuh-uh. Too many people, so I grabbed the one I found under the bridge on Oak. What do you mean that wasn't the deal? It's the same damn van!
He's cut off again. Checking the mirrors, he glances into the now skewed rearview mirror and notices a set of blinking lights in the back seat of the minivan for the first time.
I need that money, Javier. Don't mess with... The fuck?
He finds a clearer path on the street before turning his head around to triple check.
Hey, man, there's something... Hello? Hello?
Simon lets the phone drop to the floor as he swivels his head back and forth between the front window and back seat. His face falls. There's no doubt about it. The clock on the front of the thing confirms not only a bomb, but a bomb about to go off. 224, 223, 222.
Of all the vans, Simon, of all the...
One of the police cruisers bumps into Simon's left rear bumper in an attempt to stop him. The van swerves hard, but Simon is able to keep control of the vehicle. He scratches at the inner forearm tattoo again and surveys his surroundings. It's a busy part of town, and dozens of people and families are enjoying their Friday night out. He looks at the bomb, then back at the people he now knows are in danger. His brow furrows as the look of determination dawns upon his face. Activating the right side turn signal, Simon lays on the horn wildly as he takes the chase onto the freeway. Cut to exterior freeway, Detroit, Michigan, night continuous. Racing down the freeway, he reaches around the van's floor and finds his cell phone, double tapping the screen as he presses it against his ear.
Call Sira.
The tiny speaker on the phone crackles to life as it acknowledges his request. The call is connected. After a few rings, the line clicks.
Hi, you've reached Sira. Please leave a message and I'll return your call as soon as I can. Thanks.
The message beeps and Simon looks at a loss for words. He opens and closes his mouth several times before...
Sira, I'm sorry we haven't talked in a while. Listen, tomorrow morning you're going to hear some crazy stuff about me, okay? Just remember, whatever you hear about me, whatever they say I did, it's not true. You know me, and I would never do something like this. I mean, I did steal the van, but I did not know about the bomb.
A sign on the freeway reads, Blangery Automotive Plant next right, as well as an orange closed sign on top of it. Speeding past it, he races down the exit. Smash to. Exterior, abandoned Blangieri automotive plant, Detroit, Michigan, night continuous. Smashing through the fence on the far side of the plant, he sees his objective in the distance and mutters.
Yeah, there it is.
His face becomes even more determined as his impromptu plan takes shape. He speaks into the phone again.
Listen, when they ask you why I did it, tell them that I had to take it to the factory, okay? Too many people could have gotten hurt. I did this to myself, Sira. And you're right. I always do this to myself.
His eyes begin to well and his voice cracks.
Just tell Mom and Dad that I love them, okay? Tell Dad. Tell him he was right. And that I'm sorry. I love you too, Sira. You, Nazir, and your beautiful son. You'll never... I can't believe I'm letting you down again.
Simon drops the phone as he approaches the heavy-duty loading bay of the deserted factory. Its windows and doors boarded shut between thick, floor-to-ceiling concrete slabs that divide the bay. He pushes the minivan to its limits as he smashes through another closed gate, darting in between the abandoned hulks of machines and containers in an attempt to lose the cops pursuing him.
Why can't these guys take a hint?
The clock reads 10, 9, 8. Simon opens the van door and flings himself away from the minivan, tucking and rolling as best he can while he skids a few feet on the pavement before stopping. Boom! The explosion is mostly contained. A huge plume of fire and smoke rage from the open side of the loading bay walls, but the damage is minimal. Simon's ears ring and the world spins. He tries to get to his feet. Muffled yells can be heard as he blinks repeatedly to clear his vision. The blurry images begin to take shape, and he sees a dozen guns pointed at him. He puts his hands behind his head and drops to his knees. Bzzz! 6 chrome alligator clips hit Simon in the chest like angry hornets. 500,000 volts of electricity inject themselves into Simon's now falling and unconscious body. Fade to exterior, Baz family's mosque, Dearborn, Michigan, United States, early evening. Flashback. Superimposed July 4th, 2002. Simon, age 11, and his father, Hassan, 50s, are leaving a Thursday afternoon Quran study group. As they make their way through the parking lot, Simon sees something written in spray paint on the wall of the mosque. When they get closer, they see the words, terrorist, 9/11 murders, and get out, written in several colors of spray paint. After staring at the wall in silence for a few moments, Hassan lets out a stifled sigh of frustration. He looks down at his son, who's still staring at the words, and it takes him another moment to realize his son's hands are shaking slightly. Simon jumps with a start when his father lets out a sharp bark of laughter.
You know, we have been looking for an excuse to repaint the building. Maybe now the committee will finally agree to pay for it.
Hassan turns to his son and gives him a wink.
Come, let us find something to help clean this off. Then we can repaint it a beautiful shade of pink.
Simon laughs and looks up at his father as they walk back towards the entrance of the mosque, a note of concern in his voice.
But, Dad, why would someone do that? It isn't true, is it? We didn't do 9/11, right?
No, son, we did not.
Then why would they do that?
I imagine they did it out of anger.
Are they mad at us? Are they mad at me?
Hassan stops and looks at his son, a note of sadness in his voice.
No, Simon. In fact, I don't think they're mad at anyone who worships here. Not really. But after what happened in New York last year, people are afraid, and fear is a powerful emotion. As your grandfather used to say, fear is the destroyer of men and the downfall of all great civilizations. Fear of the unknown, fear of the other, even the fear of oneself can drive the most well-intentioned to take drastic and irrational actions.
But why do they think we did it, Dad?
They don't.
Then...
As I said, Simon, fear. Fear and anger have no place to put it, no place to understand it or let it go.
Hassan begins to walk again, and Simon follows, his eyes falling upon his feet as he stutter steps to get in step with his father. After thinking for a moment, he looks back up at him.
How do you know all this stuff, Dad?
Because before you and your sister were born, your mother and I lived in a place where these kinds of sentiments surrounded us almost every day. We moved here so that we could have a better life, and we do.
But can that change?
What change?
Our better life. I mean, can they make us leave?
Hassan forces out another bark of laughter, though his eyes betray the heartbreak invoked by his son's innocent and genuine concern.
No, son.
But how do you know that, Dad? What if they do? What if they want us to leave our house?
It's not going to happen, Simon. They can't make us leave. We are American citizens. Don't worry, this will pass. It always does. It takes time to heal from a wound this deep, but we will come together once again, I promise. It's what makes this country one of the best in the world, and it's why we call it our home. Now, let's get this wall cleaned and then grab some pizza before...
Whip 2, interior, Black Ops site, Earth, night. Present day. Superimpose, rendition center, Tango 77 Bravo. Simon lets out a swear under his breath as the black cloth bag is whipped off his head and winces from the overly bright lights blaring down upon him. He unconsciously scratches at the Arabic word tattooed on his inner right forearm, and his eyes adjust enough to see the room he's in. It's cold, metallic, and unnervingly sterile. Dressed in a short-sleeved orange jumpsuit, he sits at a metal table. A sinister-looking handcuff restraint rests on the aseptic surface in front of him. Two silhouettes block the light from his eyes, but also cast shadows around the faces of the two men, Agents Smith, black, 51, and Jones, 33, Latino, addressing him.
So then why even go in there?
I took a trip with my family to visit relatives in Lebanon and Egypt, and I went to Saudi Arabia for the Hajj. So, yeah, of course I went into a few mosques.
The Hajj, huh? Would you call yourself a very religious man, Mr. Boss?
Not especially.
That tattoo on your arm, when did you get it? Before or after your trip?
Aren't tattoos haram, Mr. Boss?
And the word courage? What do you need courage for, Mr. Boz? Are you planning something that's going to need a little more than usual?
I'm not so sure the Prophet would appreciate the sin you've committed against your sacred vessel there, Mr. Boss. Might have messed up your chances with those 72 virgins.
Simon stares at them incredulously. His disbelief turns into a sarcastic defiance.
And all that have not fins and scales in the seas, and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Been to a Red Lobster lately, asshole? I've had 3 days of this shit, and I'm over it.
My religion isn't on trial here, Mr. Boss.
And mine is? Who the hell do you...
No! Your religion is not on trial here, Mr. Boz. Agent Jones is mistaken in his implication. I think we've gotten off to a rough start here. Why don't we just back up a bit?
Sure. I want a lawyer.
The two agents look at each other for a moment, then back at Simon.
That's not feasible at the moment.
Why, are we in Cuba or something?
Both agents stare silently at him for a few seconds.
Are you serious? Tell me we're not in Gitmo.
Well, that is where terrorists go, Mr. Boss.
Agent Jones and Simon stare each other down. After a moment, Smith cuts in.
Hey, Mike, why don't you get us some coffee? Looks like this punk's going to keep us here all night.
Sure.
Jones gets up from his seat with a snort and shoves his chair into the table. Both Simon and Smith wince with the crack. After Jones walks out of the door, Smith gets up and locks it behind him. He begins to roll his sleeves up as he turns back towards Simon.
Holy shit. Are you going to torture me? Look, dude, I'm telling you the truth. Hook me up to a lie detector, man. Give me truth serum. Throw me in jail. But come on, I'm not a terrorist. I'm American.
Smith takes his seat again, places his forearms on the edge of the table, and leans forward.
Is your name really Simon Boz?
Yes. I don't know how many more times I can tell you. I mean, come on, man. Is your name really Agent Smith?
Smith gives him a sheepish grin, and now in an English accent responds,
Actually, my name is Fed. Agent Franklin Fed of Her Majesty's Ministry of Information.
You're British?
Agent Fed dismisses Simon's question and looks down at the blue folder again, continuing in his native accent.
The truth is a funny thing. That's why we're still having this conversation. What's with the scripture? You memorize a lot of religious text in your spare time? Kind of suspicious, don't you think?
People quote scripture all the time. Why is it only suspicious when people like me do it?
You tell me.
I don't know. Maybe it's because you're only a fanatic in this country if you're brown. Look, when I was in college, it was between theology or philosophy, and I didn't really want to hear a bunch of stoners having a quarter-life crisis while quoting Ayn Rand.
Fed lets out a chuckle and gives Simon a tight smile.
I suppose you've also found it useful for situations like these? Simon, I want to believe you. In fact, I almost do. I just need you to tell me the absolute truth about what happened that night. And you need to do it before the Walking Patriot Act comes back from the Gedunk Garden.
Simon lets out a long sigh.
like I've been trying to tell you the whole time. Some people I know offered me $3,000 to steal a minivan. And as you've so kindly pointed out, Nazir's hospital bills are piling up, and it was some fast cash. When I found the bomb, I thought I could just get all fast and furious and save the day. But instead, I got the shit zapped out of me, and now I'm here. That's it, man. That's the whole story. I swear to God there is, sir.
Fed gives Simon a long, hard look.
I believe you.
You do?
I do.
Simon leans back in his chair and looks at Fed relieved. He smiles a bit, then his face turns concerned once again.
But we have to find out who actually did it.
Did what?
Put the bomb in the van. I stole that thing less than 3 blocks from my parents' house, man. If I didn't steal it, my parents could have...
The door thuds against its frame from being locked as Jones tries to re-enter the room. There's a cop knock, rap, rap, rap from his knuckles. His muffled voice is heard through the door.
All right, Fed, time's up. They want him upstairs.
Simon looks at the door and then back at Fed.
That doesn't sound good. Come on, man. I've told you guys the truth.
The jingle of keys can be heard. A second later, the lock clicks open. As Jones enters the room with 2 armed guards, Fed stands to meet them.
Easy, fellas. The kid's given us everything he knows. I think we can transport him back stateside.
Afraid not, Fed. Orders are to take him upstairs to meet the contractor.
I don't really see that being necessary here, Valdez. He's been honest. I think we can...
Yeah, I don't really care. Bag him.
One of the armed guards pulls out a drawstring black bag as they both approach Simon. Simon yells in protest as the bag is forced over his head, the strings drawn tight.
Stop! Wait! Listen to me! I've told you the truth. We have to find out who really did this. What if they do it again? What if they hurt my family?
Simon tries to stand up straight to plead his case, but one of the guards forces his face down on the table with a thud.
Simon, stop! You're going to make things worse for yourself, mate. Just chill out for a minute and I'll go talk to the boss. It'll be all...
Being slightly shorter than Simon, the guard trips while they stand. The black bag over Simon's face is ripped off as he slides out of the guard's grip and onto the floor. Simon tries to push himself to his feet when the barrel of Valdez's .45 caliber Smith & Wesson presses against his forehead.
Please, for the love of God, give me the excuse, Haji.
Simon stops and raises his hands, scowling at Valdez.
I am an American, you ass!
Clang! The wall to the left of Simon shakes and creaks from the force of whatever it is it's trying to push through. The steel wall slowly begins to stretch towards them. The screeching sounds of the metal being stretched to its breaking point fills the room, causing everyone to cover their ears. The screeching rises in octaves as the metal thins. Thunk! The green ring bursts through the wall. Its momentum carries it into flying circles around the room, its green contrail leaving a slight afterglow as it finalizes the search for its new host. It comes to a sudden stop in front of Simon.
Simon Baz of Earth, Sector 2814. You have the ability to overcome great fear. You have been chosen.
The bodiless female voice that surrounds him causes Simon to jump. He swings his head around to look for the source and, finding no one, looks at the ring, both bewildered and petrified.
Chosen? Chosen for...
His arms still in the air from the threat of Valdez's gun, the ring flies towards Simon's right hand and onto his middle finger. Badoom! A burst of green light engulfs the room and Simon lets out a scream. The ceiling explodes and the emerald light shoots through the now open roof. Everyone else in the room are thrown against the walls. The light fades, the room is in shambles, and Simon Baz is nowhere to be seen.
What the What was that?
Agent Fed helps the guards to their feet and looks sternly at Valdez.
Get Waller on the phone.
Look, buddy, you don't have the juice.
Waller, now! Do you even know what just happened?
Valdez looks at Fed, not really knowing how to respond.
No.
A Green Lantern ring just broke Simon Baz out of Gitmo, and since that's kind of a big deal, she needs to know, ASAP. Now get me Waller before we lose him on radar, jackass!
End of Act 1. Act 2. Exterior, barren planet, antimatter universe. Superimpose, planet Quarg, yellow lantern citadel. A golden trail breaks through the barren yellow planet's atmosphere, causing a series of small contrails to follow the yellow ring on its descent toward the surface. The ring flies through the citadel. A military-style bunker is seen in the distance, and it soon becomes clear that this is the ring's destination. Cut to interior Sinestro Core listening post, planet Quarg, antimatter universe, continuous. The large command center is bathed in a deep red hue, allowing the occupants to focus on their screens while still being able to see the room around them. They all glow with a faint yellow silhouette, and there's a soft murmur of focused conversations around the room as information is gathered, analyzed, and disseminated to the Sinestro Corps members at large. The doors to the room burst open, and the yellow ring begins to slow its speed as it enters. A shadowed, colossal being sits upon the center command chair, and the ring makes its way toward it. It stops and hovers in front of the large entity for a few moments before an enormous gray-scaled fist, also bearing a yellow ring, rises from the dark and opens. The ring drops into it and glows dimly.
Val Sinestro of Corrigar Sector 1417 is dead.
The hand dips slightly in disbelief, then closes around it swiftly. The small, matter-of-fact voice of the ring has silenced the murmurs of the other occupants in the room, and all eyes become fixated upon the command chair. Some flinch as the giant being rises from the seat. This is Arkillo. His thunderous voice booms coolly through the room's stale air.
Is the Pinnacle Protocol still in place? Is the battery still functioning?
A frantic 5 seconds pass before a voice, technician alien, calls out.
Yes, Arkillo.
And the anti-monitor?
Still in hibernation at 66% power restoration.
Good. Then Sinestro will have his revenge on Hal Jordan, regardless of his final outcome. And I now have the Corps under my command. We proceed as planned. Send the next wave of corpsmen to Earth.
Cut to exterior, forest wetlands, Florida, United States, night. Superimpose Everglades National Park. Superimpose Florida, United States. Simon wakes with a start. The crescent moon and tall trees surrounding him create a sense of an uncomfortable tranquility, and for a brief moment, he wonders out loud.
Am I dead?
A warm pulse of emerald shines from under his chest, and he frantically swings his arm out from under himself to look at his hand.
A green ring?
Simon Baz of Earth, Sector 2814. You have the ability to overcome great fear. You have been chosen to become an officer of the Green Lantern Corps.
What?
Simon Baz of Earth, Sector 2814. You have the ability to overcome great fear. You have been chosen to become an officer of the Green Lantern Corps.
Simon pushes himself up off the ground and stares at his hand, bewildered, then looks around for the source of the voice.
Who's saying that? What the hell are you talking about?
Simon Baz of Earth, Sector 2814. You have the ability to overcome...
Looking up at the sky, Simon cuts the voice off.
Great fear. Yes, you keep saying that. I think you've got the wrong guy, lady. I'm afraid of a lot of things. Snakes, cops, bees, all sorts of shit.
Simon Baz of Earth, Sector 2814. You have the will to overcome these trivial fears. You have the will to overcome all of your fears. This is why you have been chosen to become an officer of the Green Lantern Corps.
Simon lets out a frustrated sigh.
Listen, voice. It's kind of been a shitty day. I just want to go home and chill for a... What the hell?
A small stream of crackling emerald energy begins to leak from the center of the lantern signet on the ring. It slowly rotates around Simon's middle finger, then his hand, then makes its way steadily up his arm.
What the hell? Stop it!
Recalibrating ring. Memory access initiated.
The energy continues up his arm, then surrounds his chest and head.
No, wait!
His eyes widen, flash green, and then shut violently as millions of memories begin to flash before him. Smash to exterior high school football field, Dearborn, Michigan, early afternoon. Flashback. Simon, age 14, and his sister Sira, age 17, kneel on small rugs facing the Qibla and are praying toward Mecca. It's lunchtime, and since they need to fast during Ramadan anyway, they use this time to perform the Salah. They finish praying and talk about the feast they'll be having that night as they gather their things.
You're right. Mom's spaghetti is way better during Ramadan. I wonder what she... Sira, watch out!
Smack! A red water balloon hits the side of Sira's face and she lets out a yelp. It breaks upon impact, soaking her clothes and leaves a welt across her cheek. The sound of cruel laughter can be heard, and a group of jocks, 16 and 17, white, walk toward them.
What the hell, Todd?
One of the boys walks toward them. Todd, 16, chomping hard on a large piece of gum as he sneers.
I already told you, keep that stupid shit in your stupid mosque.
Simon jumps to his feet.
What's your problem, man?
Easy, Aladdin. Look, just get back on your magic carpet there and head on back to Afghanistan.
We're Americans, asshole.
Sure, yeah.
Todd begins to choke on his piece of gum, his face turning purple as he reaches toward his throat.
Seriously?
Simon bolts toward Todd, fist clenched.
Simon, no!
Simon runs up to Todd and slugs him in the gut, the piece of gum flying out of his mouth as he doubles over and lands on the ground, gasping.
Now what, jack off?
He kicks some dirt in Todd's face and walks back towards Sira. Smash 2, exterior, City Street, Detroit, Michigan, night, continuous. Flashback. Simon, age 20, walks down a street lined with bars, the neon signs bringing a warm glow to the late and cold November night. Holding his phone to his ear, Simon is smiling.
Yeah, man. I think she likes me. It went really well, and it turns out she's nerdier than I am.
He listens.
Oh, come on, dude. You'll get there, no doubt. I'm heading back now, actually. Should be there in...
There's a woman's scream from down the alley he just passed. Simon turns around to find the source, and as he looks down the alley, he sees a man on top of a woman holding her down, while another man goes through her purse. Simon yells into the phone.
Yo, call 911. Tell him to go to the alley behind Barker's on 5th. Somebody's in trouble.
Simon charges down the alley and tackles the man on top of the woman, pushing him to the ground.
What's up,
Smash 2, exterior, abandoned industrial zone, Detroit, Michigan, night, continuous. Flashback. The revving of car engines roar across the cement and echo off the empty buildings. A crowd of people are gathered around the starting line. Nazir, age 29, laughs at Simon, age 26, through his open car window.
I don't want to take your sister and your car, man. But if you insist, I mean, it's bad enough I'm related to you now. But are you sure you want to pink slip the only other beautiful woman in your life?
I'm gonna smack the taste out your mouth, Naz. Keep that shit up, see what happens.
They both laugh. Smash 2, exterior, Everglades National Park, Florida, United States, night. Simon awakes with a start, taking a deep, staggered breath as he comes out of the trance.
No, not that.
The energy is absorbed back into the ring, and Simon is surprised to see himself wearing a shimmering, half-sleeve black and green military flight suit, a glowing Green Lantern emblem resting on the center of his chest. The ink of the tattoo on his inner forearm has been replaced by the same crackling emerald energy that surrounds the ring, pulsing in sync with his accelerated heart rate.
Mapping neutral pathways complete. Green Lantern Simon Baz, Sector 2814, established. Commissioned into Green Lantern Corps, initialized. Power levels at 5.5%. Message waiting.
He closes his eyes and takes a few deep breaths. The pulsating energy slows, and he lets out a long breath. He looks up at the sky again.
Why did you show me those memories?
Message waiting.
Message? What message?
Message waiting.
Play message?
An emerald beam shoots out from the ring, projecting a life-sized, semi-transparent, glowing green construct of Hal Jordan, Earth's first Green Lantern.
Greetings, rookie. My name is Hal Jordan, and if you're seeing this message, dead.
The message begins to fragment and become distorted.
Dead?
You're middle of a war. The ring sought you out because you have the will to overcome fear. You're probably asking, means and each Green Lantern has their own ship with conquering, and through our the core is made strong. The ring will construct any your mind can imagine. Simply need to have the will to bring it into existence. The ring will do the rest.
Simon looks down at the ring on his finger and squints his eyes in concentration. A few sparks fly from it. Jordan continues speaking in broken sentences, and he looks back up.
Until get to Oa. Try your best. Find Lantern Badge. He's uncovered, so it won't be easy. Good luck, Rook. Need it.
The construct of Hal Jordan disappears, and Simon finds himself alone and in the dark once again. He looks at the ring, then up at the sky, with his now glowing green eyes.
How the hell can I be a Green Lantern? You've made a mistake. I'm no Green Lantern.
Simon Baz of Earth, Sector 2814, Green Lantern Officer, rank Rookie, Sector Patrol 2814.
Are you really going to do that all the time?
The ring doesn't respond. Taking a deep breath, he stands in silence for a moment, staring at the stars. His softly glowing eyes dart around the sky as if seeing them for the very first time. He mutters.
Okay, so where's Oa?
A beam shoots out of the ring, creating a three-dimensional map of the universe. As Simon turns his head, the map follows his eyes and creates a heads-up display, giving him all the known information about the things he sees. His mouth falls open.
Hello, final frontier.
Every known object within the endless universe seemed to be just a stone's throw away, and he never imagined there could be so much life found in space. A green bubble pings in the center of the map, and Simon can see Oa and the vast amounts of information available about it. Frozen in wonderment, he begins to cipher through the data. A moment later, his eyes cross, and he finds himself bent over, throwing up. The glowing map disappears, and it takes Simon a second to regain his bearings. He looks down at the ring.
That's gonna take a second to get used to. What else can you do? Okay, ring. Activate.
He thrusts his fist out in front of him, pointing it at a tree. Nothing happens.
Fire.
Nothing. He pulls his hand back to look at it, then punches the air toward the tree again.
Green Lantern!
Nothing. He looks at the ring and mutters to himself.
I have to will it into existence. What the hell does that even mean?
He aims at the tree again.
Energize.
Again, nothing. His arm drops to his side in defeat as he looks around his environment. He lets out a grunt of frustration.
This doesn't make any sense. How can I be a Green Lantern? I don't even know where I am. What the hell am I supposed...
The HUD flashes back up in front of Simon's face, and he leaps backwards, falling to the ground with a startled yelp. After gaining his bearings, he examines the glowing green map in front of him.
Not cool, Ring. Not cool. Florida? So I really wasn't Gitmo? Damn. Okay, Ring. I don't know how you work, but before anything else happens, I need to find a way back home.
Flight mode initiating. Calibrating new neural pathways. Stand by.
What?
Stand by.
What did you say?
Stand. Pathways complete. Flight mode active.
What? Wait a minute. I don't know how to fly. What are you talking about?
His tattoo sears with a green static charge, and his entire body begins to glow with a bright green silhouette. His feet lift off the ground.
Oh,
He
shit.
blasts off and hurtles through the pre-dawn sky, heading north. Fade to Interior Sinestro Corps Listening Post, Planet Quard, Antimatter Universe. A Sinestro Corpsman, radar tech, small-headed purple alien, is sitting at one of the electromagnetic surveillance stations in the back of the room when a small alert sounds. He looks at his screen in disbelief and double-checks it before clicking on his headset mic.
Sir, this is Station Echo Sierra. I just registered Hal Jordan's electromagnetic signature in Sector 2814 on Earth. How would you like me to proceed?
There's a thunderous roar from the center of the room. Arkillo gets to his feet, and as his massive body enters the dim red light, the true terror of Arkillo is understood. Standing at 10 feet and moving as if one solid muscle, he towers over the other species of Yellow Lantern Sinestro Corpsmen in the room. His impenetrable reptilian skin and long protruding tusks catch and reflect the room's light, making it hard to keep him in focus as he noiselessly glides toward the radar tech. Doing all they can to avoid his piercing and calculating gaze, the other corpsmen keep their eyes locked on their stations as Arkillo passes them silently. He slides behind the radar tech, who's frozen in place, and jumps when he's asked coolly,
Did you say Hal Jordan is alive and on Earth?
No, well, yes, but no. I mean, I registered his ring's EM signature on Earth, but that doesn't mean it's him. It could just mean that the ring is active again.
Which would mean that a new Green Lantern has been recruited. How certain are you that it's someone new and not Hal Jordan?
I can't be certain of either, sir. Not without getting a scan closer to the planet. The electromagnetic scans from Earth are always a little shaky because of the multidimensional planes.
Arkillo places his giant hand on top of the radar tech's head and moves his own head down to the same height of the technician's.
Then why tell me if you do not know for certain?
Sir,
Arkillo raises his head back up to his full height, the radar tech letting out a little whimper as his head is suddenly squashed. A sickening crunch, then pop, echo around the room. Arkillo looks down at the operator next to the now headless technician.
Dispose of this. Then summon Carousil to the antechamber.
At once, Arkillo.
Cut to Interior, Pentagon, Washington, D.C. Day. Superimpose Advanced Research Group, United States, Argus. Superimpose Director Waller's office. Amanda Waller, 52, black, no nonsense, is sitting at her desk watching the footage of Simon Baz at Gitmo. A biometric data is displayed on a tablet in her hand, and a small communications earpiece sits in her right ear.
Yes? Yes. But that's just it, Madam President. As you can see for yourself, he was being completely cooperative and seems to be telling the truth. And all biodata reads steady. I mean, he gave up his address and social pretty quickly. And as much as I'm in shock to say this, in this current environment, he might have actually been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
She sits listening to the president for a moment.
Yes, ma'am. I concur. Especially with the heightened global security. And he did run, even if he didn't necessarily mean to. He did. I've reached out to the other Green Lanterns, but none of them are responding. In fact, there seems to be a lot of interplanetary communication system down. And with the Justice League off-world...
She listens again to the president.
Yes, ma'am. Understood. I'll send you hourly sit reps. And thank you, ma'am.
Waller leans back in her chair and looks at the radar displays and world news reports shown on the giant flat-screen monitors above her door. She stares at the footage of protests happening in several countries, including the U.S., then keys up a radar feed. A map of North America appears across 4 of the screens, and in the lower right quadrant of the map, a burst of green light flashes in Cuba before streaming toward the southern tip of Florida. An hour later, it happens again in the Everglades, then vanishes, only to reappear again a few minutes later, before streaming north as it flickers off the grid. There's a knock at her door as the radar feed replays itself from the beginning.
Enter.
Agents Fed and Valdez enter her office. As they reach the chairs, sitting across from Walter's desk, they realize she's looking past them at something and turn to see what it is.
That Baz?
It just came in and is being analyzed by the tech downstairs, but probably. You two playing nice yet?
You know me.
Oh, yeah. Fed's a real asset, Waller. Like, I appreciate you lending him to the department, especially when Baz turned out to be one of your freak show felons all along.
Oh, he's not one of mine. And around here you'll address me as ma'am or not at all. Now, this was just another Homeland Security issue until the ring showed up. Now it's a top priority, as if I needed another one. With all the non-metahuman tension in the world at the moment, I don't know as much as I should about Baz. What's your read, Fed?
Simon Baz seems to be a decent kid who just got caught up in something bigger than he realizes. And I'd bet my good leg that was the first time he'd seen anything like that ring. The van is one thing, sure, and I'm at 80-20 that he's innocent about the bomb. But the ring? Don't those tend to go to heroes?
Damn, he got you, man. He got you hook, line, and sinker. You do know there are hostile ring bearers, right? Sinestro is one of these space cop heroes, and look at the damage he did. I can't believe you fell for this bullshit.
Waller puts her hand up, cutting Valdez off.
I'm debriefing my agent. Thank you. Continue.
You've seen the video, and we've run the details. It all checks out so far, and...
Valdez clears his throat loudly.
But we are still vetting and won't know anything for sure for about 12 more hours.
Okay. What's the play?
I'd like to go to Dearborn.
Are we sure he'll go back there?
Well, there's nothing to say that he won't, and his family's there. Since I can be there in a few hours, why not reach out directly if we get a chance? Better me than a SWAT team, eh? Especially if he figures out how to use that ring. Permission to go?
Granted. Valdez, you stay here and be my liaison to Homeland. We also need to find a way to contact the Corps. If we can unload this problem onto them, we can turn our attention back to some of the larger and more pressing issues at hand.
She points to the multiple news reports shown across the screens. The many local trouble spots taking place across the world seem to be inching the entire planet towards an unstoppable crisis. End of Act 2. Act 3. Interior Antechamber, Sinestro Corps Citadel, Planet Quart, Anti-Universe. The room is bathed in a saffron light emanating from glowing pipelines that flow with a static energy. The hum of the energy current rumbles in the background as 2 beings stand in the shadow of a Goliath. With his hands clasped behind the small of his back, Arkillo stares into the lifeless face of the anti-monitor. Its enormous body residing on the 4 stories below him, Arkillo is able to examine the giant being's helmeted face with its shriveled gray skin and hollow eye sockets in close detail. Next to Arkillo stands a red-skinned, 3-faced alien, Mash, whose single elongated head holds each face above each other.
Truly a wonder to behold, Mash. A being as ancient as time itself, powerless in this state of exiled hibernation. But soon our guardian of fear shall restore order to the universe. Ring, status of the anti-monitor.
Anti-monitor power restoration at 70%.
And the Pinnacle Protocol.
Pinnacle protocol running at suboptimal 52%.
Arkillo forces his gaze away from the spellbinding face of the lifeless anti-monitor and keys up a map of the universe. Finding Earth, he sees luminous and transparent streams of color covering the atmosphere. The array of colors ebb and flow from blue to green to red, and while each color presents itself equally, yellow seems to dominate the sphere in sporadic waves.
If we create tears within the fabric of space-time and ensure an event occurs across a multi-universe focal point, we will accelerate the theorem generated through the Terrans by at least 10 times its current level.
But why not send the entire Corps there now, Arkillo? Why not wipe out the human apes with a swift and bloody campaign? The Green Lanterns can no longer enter the Terran solar system, and we control the Convergence Gate.
He's afraid Sinestro isn't dead. Not after the electromagnetic readout of Hal Jordan's ring. I can sense it.
Surely the great Arkillo fears nothing.
Arkillo looks at Mash's bottom face out of the corner of his eye.
Silence your lesser selves, Mash, or I shall do it for you.
Arkillo returns his gaze to the map and finds the coordinates he's looking for.
Yes, of course, Arkillo. But with all due respect, why restrain yourself now?
The great tactician no longer needs to save face and hide his savagery. I say, commence the bloodbath.
But what if Sinestro isn't dead? What if he's trying to flush out usurpers before the anti-monitors return?
A point well noted. So we will stay the course laid out by Sinestro, but still test the waters. At the very least, the Terrans are a key factor, and will continue to be a sustainable resource until the protocol's completion.
The door to the room slides open behind them, and the silhouette of a woman appears in the doorway. This is Karoo Sill.
You sent for me, Arkillo?
Enter Carousel.
Karoo enters the room and walks into the light. What was once the face of a beautiful woman is now marred by the scar tissue surrounding her lipless mouth. Her exposed teeth have been filed into sharp points, which are just visible through a mess of tattered black hair that surrounds her face like thick curtains. Her yellow eyes stare piercingly into Arkillo's as she approaches. 3 canary-yellow beasts follow her in. The constructs stop a few feet behind her as she reaches Arkillo and Mash. She bows slightly.
Sinestro is dead.
Karoo's jaw drops, and the bottom third of her face becomes almost beast-like in appearance, matching the faces of her exposed, teethed, wolf-like beast constructs behind her.
How's that possible?
An investigation is underway, but it appears as if Hal Jordan is to thank.
Are we sure this isn't another ruse? This rumor has been spread before.
Arkillo lifts his hand, turns it over, and upon opening it, reveals the ring that flew into the command center. It glows dimly.
Ring. Status of Val Sinestro.
Val Sinestro of Korogar, Sector 1417, is dead. Awaiting reassignment.
Karoo takes a step back, staring at the ring in disbelief.
What does this mean? What of the Sinestro Corps?
A thin smile dawns upon Arkillo's face.
I am now the core, Carousel.
Karoo stares unblinking at Arkillo.
Understood. How may I serve the Arkillo Corps?
Arkillo's face breaks into an approving smile.
Become my spear, Karoo. Be my force of will on Terra Prime and complete our mission of reviving the Anti-Monitor.
You honor me, Arkillo.
I honor loyalty and success, not the medium through which they present themselves. There is a Green Lantern active on the surface of the planet. Here are his current coordinates.
Karoo looks at the map and sees 42.3223 north times 83.1763 west displayed on the upper half of North America.
Report back to me immediately if it is Hal Jordan. If it's his replacement, dispose of them as you see fit. They cannot get to Oa and will not understand the power they possess. You will then take over operations on Terra Prime and complete the Pinnacle Protocol.
As you command, Arkillo.
With another slight bow, Carew turns to leave. The bestial constructs follow at her heel as the door closes behind her. Mash lets out a hissing laugh.
A worthy but expendable pawn.
We shall see.
Cut to interior, Yasmin's car, parked, government office building, Detroit, Michigan, Earth, morning. It's 7 a.m. and Simon's sister Sira, 30, is sitting in the passenger seat of their mother's, Yasmin, 60's, car, holding up her cell phone as Simon's voicemail comes to an end. In front of Yasmin, a newspaper with Simon's face on the front page rests against the steering wheel. The words "local terrorist bombs factory" are plastered in a large font under his picture. Behind them, Sira and Nazir's child, Justin, 3, stirs in his sleep in the car seat and brings Yasmin's eyes back into focus.
And that's it. That's the first and last time I've heard from him in over a year. I'm sorry I didn't share it sooner. I wanted to investigate it before I told you anything for sure. I've tried every contact I have. Half of them won't return my calls, and the others say they can't comment due to national security.
I see. And the FBI?
After they interviewed us, I haven't heard back from anyone.
Do you think he... Oh my God. He can't have. Not my son.
Of course he didn't.
But he was in the van, Sira. And the van had a bomb in it. How could he not have seen it? Why did he even steal it to begin with?
She rubs her hands over her face and down her neck.
Where did I go wrong with him, Sira? How did I fail as a parent to see my only son accused of terrorism on the front page of every newspaper?
Mom, he didn't do it. He's always had a chip on his shoulder, sure, but to do something like this, it's impossible. Besides, he took it to the factory and nobody got hurt. I wish they'd talk about that on the news instead of how you and Dad are from Palestine.
What if he did do it, Sira? What if he did?
Yasmin stares out the window, lost in a memory.
So much anger and resentment. It's the same cycle everywhere, isn't it?
Cycle? Mom, he didn't do it. Simon is not a terrorist. How can you even think that? I mean, really, Mom?
Sira looks at her phone as it buzzes with an alarm.
I've got to go into work. Listen, we'll find him. I know he's innocent, and I know we can find a way to prove it, okay?
Yasmin is brought back to the present again and gives her daughter a look of concern.
It's too soon, Sira. They may not want you back yet. Your father and I are on voluntary administrative leave, and we think that you should do the same.
This is my job, and I am not my brother. They know me there. Thanks for watching Justin again. I love you. Bye, baby.
She kisses her hand and touches Justin's cheek, then gives her mom a quick hug before closing the car door and heading into work. Yasmin watches her enter the building with a woeful look before hesitantly pulling away. Cut to interior office building lobby, Dearborn, Michigan, morning continuous. Sira enters the lobby with a forced smile on her face and greets several people as she crosses the hallway. Everything seems normal and she lets out a relieved sigh. Waiting for the elevator, she glances around the lobby and is horrified to realize that her brother's face is staring back at her, floating between the many pairs of clenched hands in the room, whose owners' faces begin to peer over the newspapers and in her direction. When she catches a few of their gazes, she smiles politely with a nod. It's hard to mask the relief she feels as the elevator dings with its approach. She slips herself inside it and pushes the button to her floor before the doors have even fully opened, and they quickly reverse direction and close behind her. Cut to interior government office, Dearborn, Michigan, morning continuous. Sira walks toward her office. She can feel the eyes in the room following her as she makes her way behind the counter, and as she passes her boss, Doris, 65, she can hear whispers beginning to emerge. Doris gets up and follows Sira into her office, a newspaper in hand, closing the door behind them.
Good morning, Doris. I've got those reports completed, and I think I might have saved us around $500,000.
Listen, hon, I don't know how to say this. I know your brother has had some issues in the past, and we've been able to overlook them, but this...
Doris, Okay, first, I don't think he did what they're accusing him of. Second, I am not my brother. You cannot hold me accountable for something that I didn't do. I've worked here for 7 years, Doris. You know me.
Sira, I do know you. And that's why I'm able to put you on administrative leave until this is resolved, and not just fire you.
Fire me? For what? Because of what my brother is accused of doing? What happened to innocent until proven guilty?
Optics, Sira. You know that more than anyone. It doesn't matter what it is, it matters what it looks like. And right now, it looks like your brother is a terrorist who blew up a factory.
Doris looks sternly at Sira, but her tone softens when she sees Sira's face drop and her eyes well with tears.
Just look at this as a little paid vacation time, okay? You've earned it. You're one of the best I've got. I mean, these reports aren't due for another month, and here they are, already completed. No one else does that around here.
Sira tries to smile through her tears at the compliment, sniffling through her clogging nose.
Thanks, Doris.
Sira begins to openly cry, and Doris embraces her in a hug.
It's okay. I know you didn't do anything, and I know you think your brother didn't do anything either. I'm sure it's all a big mistake, and it'll get sorted out soon enough. Don't you worry.
Doris releases her hug and hands Sira a tissue.
Thanks.
Don't mention it.
Doris gets up and walks towards the door.
I don't know how long this is all going to take, but we'll call you when we've decided what we're going to do, okay? And hun, would you do me a favor and leave out the back entrance? I don't want to rile up the folks in the office again. Thanks, Sira. We'll see you soon.
She quickly closes the door behind her before Sira has a chance to respond. Cut to exterior alley behind office building, Dearborn, Michigan, morning. Sira walks out of the emergency exit door behind the office building and heads down the alley. She takes a few steps before she leans against the alley wall and begins to sob uncontrollably. It begins to rain hard.
Son of a bitch!
She slaps the wall with her hand, then recoils it immediately, flipping it over to inspect the self-inflicted wound. She lets out a growl of frustrated rage, almost hitting the wall again before pulling her hand back. A few yards down the alley, there's a flash of green light. A second later, she hears a familiar voice.
Sira? Sira, is that you?
Sira sees her brother approach her dressed in what looks like a non-glowing black and green pajama onesie through the rainfall.
Simon?
Sira closes the space between them with purpose. A loud smack cuts through the falling rain as she slaps Simon across the face. He tries to respond, and she slaps him twice more before a green pulse deflects her fourth attempt, the rebounded force almost making her lose her balance.
What the hell was that? Actually, I don't care. Where the hell have you been, Sai? How can you leave me a message like that? Like that, Sai. I haven't seen you in over a year, and you leave me a message like that? Where the hell have you been?
Gitmo.
Gitmo? Cuba?
Yeah.
For a year.
No, maybe 2 or 3 days.
Sira slaps him again, catching him by surprise.
Then where the hell have you been, Simon? I've always had your back. Always. I need you, and you just disappear? What kind of shit is that?
I put Nazir in a coma, Sira. How am I supposed to come around you and just... How can I look just in the eyes and not be absolutely destroyed for doing that to him, to our family? What if Naz never wakes up, Sira? It's my fault.
He made his own decisions, just like you did. And your guilt doesn't excuse you from abandoning us when we needed you the most.
I sent you money.
From racing and stealing cars from chop shops?
I got laid off.
And that made you a car thief.
No one was hiring, and I wasn't about to go back to delivering pizza for $8 an hour.
That's bullshit, and you know it. You've got a degree, Sai. What are you doing racing and stealing cars? Blinded by your stupid pride, Simon. You just rush right in and not give a damn, just like always.
Yeah, well, now you just sound like Dad. And I've about had enough of this bullshit lectures, thanks.
Well, he's right, you little asshole. And now look at you. You're accused of being a terrorist, Simon. Why did you even steal that van?
To pay for Nazir's hospital bills, Sira.
That's not your job, Simon. Your job was to be here for me, for Justin, but instead you just disappear.
She stares at him accusingly as they stand in silence, the rain pelting them unforgivingly. Sira suddenly wraps her arms around Simon, squeezing him tightly. Simon flinches from the fear of another slap, but returns her embrace when she begins to cry.
I can't, Sai. I just can't anymore. Justin's learning how to talk, Simon. How do I tell him about his father? How do I explain why his uncle's face is on all the newspapers and TV? How do I explain this horrible and shitty world to a 3-year-old?
Her body begins to shake with her sobs, and Simon hugs her tightly.
I know I wasn't here, but I'm here now, okay? I'm gonna make this right, Sira. I've got this ring. It's got these powers. I don't know how to use them yet, but I will. I'll fix everything. I promise. I'll prove to everyone that I'm innocent. I just need to find this guy named Badge. I think he's supposed to train me to be a Green Lantern.
A what? What are you?
She takes a step back and looks at Simon again. Upon a second inspection, she sees that the green and black pajama onesie is actually a sleeked-out version of a tactical military flight suit. She wipes the tears and rain from her eyes while sniffling hard.
What? What the fuck are you wearing?
A Green Lantern uniform.
She notices the dull but crackling green energy emitting from his tattoo and points at it.
What's wrong with your arm? Oh my god, are you radioactive? Did that bomb?
No, it's this ring. It's a Green Lantern ring.
He stares at her with a big dumb grin on his face, waiting for her to join in on his excitement.
Okay.
Sira, I'm a Green Lantern.
What does that mean?
What is that? Sira, I'm a Green Lantern.
Okay. But I'm not really sure what that is.
Oh my god. Do you watch the news? They're heroes, like the Justice League. You know, like the Batman and Wonder Woman. They're like a group of intergalactic police officers who protect the universe from evildoers and villains and...
Sira looks like she's on the brink of laughter.
It means that I have powers and stuff.
Oh, powers and stuff, huh? Like when you were a kid and you played Power Rangers with Shane?
Simon gets defensive.
It's an honor to be chosen to be a Green Lantern, Sira. Quit laughing! Well, okay. Check this out then. I can fly.
His tattoo flares, his body glows with an emerald silhouette, and he lifts a few feet off the ground. He floats for a few seconds, then lands gently back on the street.
Holy shit, you can fly.
See? I told you.
That was... Yeah, okay. That was pretty cool. But why do you have to do it? Did you steal that too?
No! I was at Gitmo and, well, it kind of broke me out.
Why would it do that?
I'm not sure yet. This guy, Hal Jordan, came out of the ring and told me there's some kind of war happening.
A guy came out of your ring and told you there's a war going on? What war? In the Middle East? Who doesn't know about that?
I think it might be bigger than that. I'm supposed to find this guy, Badge. He'll tell me. Hal Jordan also said this ring chose me for a reason, and that I had to figure out what that reason is. I think the first reason is to find out who put that bomb in the back of that van. I stole it just a few blocks away from Mom and Dad's house, and I've got to find who did it before it happens again.
You did? I didn't know that. Okay. What are you going to do, and what can I do to help?
I've got the license plate number of the van I stole. Can you find out the address of its owner? I'm hoping that can maybe point me in the right direction.
I'm on administrative leave as of 20 minutes ago, but I'll try. Give me a few hours.
Thanks, Sira. I really am sorry. Let me just clear my name, and I promise I'll make it up to you, okay? Hit me up on my cell when you've got it. I lost my phone, but my ring somehow gets my calls and texts. Check it.
Simon winks at Sira just as her phone vibrates. It's a text message from Simon. It reads, "You've always been there for me. I promise that I'll be here for you too. XO, Sigh." She looks up at him and smiles.
Give my love to Mom and Dad. I'll see you guys soon.
His tattoo flares again and his silhouette glows brightly. He hovers above the street for a moment and then takes flight once again. Fade to exterior house, Dearborn, Michigan, evening. Simon touches down on the grass of a well-manicured lawn and walks toward the front door. The rain's still steady. There aren't any lights on in the house, but he can see the flickering blue light of a large TV through the window and the same make and model of the van he stole, parked in the driveway. Before he knocks, he looks down at his glowing flight suit and mutters to himself.
Not very inconspicuous. Ring, uniform off?
The flight suit dissolves and the energy from it is reclaimed by the ring. He looks at himself again, now in the bright orange jumpsuit from Gitmo.
Not much better. Ring, normal clothes.
The energy is again released from the ring and covers Simon in a non-glowing t-shirt and jeans.
Hell yeah.
Power levels at 0.72%.
Hope that's enough.
He knocks on the door. The bright beams of flickering light from the TV cast a shadowed silhouette over the face of the muscular man who answers the door in a bathrobe. This is Roy, White, 42.
What do you want?
Hello, sir. My name is Simon Baz, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I was wondering if I could ask you about your van. Did you have one stolen from you recently?
Roy flicks on the porch light, temporarily blinding Simon, who winces. Roy grunts.
Yeah, it did. You should come in out of the rain, boy. Talk inside.
Cut to Interior house living room, Dearborn, Michigan, night continuous. Simon thanks him and enters the house. Roy goes into the kitchen telling him he'll be right back. Simon scans the room while he waits in the dark. The flickering light from the TV throws the room into shadows as the conservative news channel blares on about illegal immigrants and the constant dangers of terrorism. He sees a shadow box filled with military ribbons and medals from the recent wars in the Middle East on a bookshelf. He also sees some blueprints lying on the coffee table, and from what he can see of them, they pique his curiosity. He bends down and pushes the curled portion of the plans flat. It's a bridge. The bridge on oak, in fact. There are also plans for all the major bridges in the Detroit area, as well as power plants, airports, City Hall, and a gun's hammer is cocked behind him.
You goddamn sand niggers have absolutely no respect for privacy, do you?
Bang! Roy shoots the back of Simon's head at point-blank range. There's a green glow, and the bullet's impact is absorbed by the construct of a miniature brick wall. Simon pushes the stunned Roy to the ground and runs toward the kitchen, throwing himself over and behind the island counter.
Power level at 0.0%.
Shit! Bang! The dishes above him explode. The energy holding his clothes together fades, and the bright orange jumpsuit remaining makes him an even bigger target. Bang! Thump! The counter catches the next round. Simon can hear Roy's footsteps getting closer. He opens a cupboard door to find something to defend himself with and sees heavy pots and pans. He grabs one and lobs it over his head. Clunk! Simon smiles to himself as Roy lets out a yell of pain. He grabs another, then another, lobbing them as hard as he can in Roy's direction, and he's forced to take cover. Seeing an opportunity to escape, he makes a run for the back door. He rounds the far counter, then bang, crack! The cupboard door beside him explodes, showering him in a hail of broken wood. He hesitates, then reaches for the doorknob.
Turn around, Haji. I got you dead to rights.
Simon stops and raises his hands as he slowly turns around.
Man, I saw your face on the front page today. Couldn't believe my luck. Some dumbass camel jockey went and stole my bomb.
Your bomb?
Months of recon, of planning, setting it all up to blame you little shit stains, and you going up the ante for me. I should be thanking you.
Thanking me?
God damn, you monkeys are slow. Doesn't matter. We're done here.
Roy sights down the barrel of his pistol. Simon catches a movement out of the corner of his left eye. A familiar voice follows.
Except we're not.
Fed has his .45 aimed at Roy, his arm extended over Simon's left shoulder. Roy lowers his arm slightly.
I'm a federal agent, and you need to lower your weapon, sir.
Roy smiles.
A Haji and a Fed all in the same night.
He sights down the pistol again.
Jesus loves me, yes he does.
Sir, put down the weapon!
There's a deep snarl from the doorway next to Roy, and a canary yellow blur attacks him, pushing him to the ground behind the island counter. Roy's gun is flung towards Simon as he falls, and Simon instinctively reaches for it.
Don't.
Fed is bewildered by the intrusion from this unknown thing, but still keeps an eye on Simon. Roy lets out a loud scream, followed by the crack of his neck being broken. Simon and Fed are frozen in place. The thing lets out a bark of victorious triumph before heavy footsteps begin to move towards Simon and Fed. One of Kuru Sill's wolf-like bestial constructs rounds the corner of the counter. Its razor-sharp teeth line a jowlless snout, dripping with blood and pieces of flesh. It stares at Simon and Fed for a moment before rearing its head back and letting out a long, hollow howl. Not a second later, a series of short howls respond off in the distance.
On second thought, pick it up.
End of pilot.